All right, let's just jump right in. We're going to talk about a problem that, let's be honest, almost every single one of us has. That pile of books you're supposed to read that just keeps getting bigger. Well, this is all about a super powerful and maybe a little bit lazy technique for finally getting a handle on it.
Yeah, I can already hear you. Easy. Are you kidding me? No way. But just hear me out for a second. This one little idea is the absolute key to completely flipping the script on how you think about reading.
Okay, so before we get to the good stuff, the solution, let's really dig into the problem. You know what I'm talking about. That stack of books, maybe it's on your nightstand, maybe it's just a long list on your Kindle, and it just kind of stares at you. It's full of promise, right? But also a little bit of guilt. So why on earth does it just keep growing?
Sound familiar at all? It's that feeling, right? You get so excited buying a new book, but then there's this little sinking feeling of dread, because it's just going to join the long line of others waiting. It's an incredibly common feeling, and believe it or not, there's actually a name for it.
And here's the villain of our story, analysis paralysis. It's when you have so many awesome choices that you just freeze. You can't decide which book to commit to. You're worried you'll pick the wrong one, so what happens? You end up picking none of them, and that poor, lonely pile of books just keeps on sitting there.
So, how do we break out of this cycle? Well, we've got to change the rules of the game completely. The big secret here isn't about learning to speed read or anything like that. It's about learning to read smarter. And that, my friends, is a total game changer.
I mean, think about it. We've had this drilled into our heads since we were kids, right? Good readers finish every single book they start. But what if that's a lie? What if that's not just slow and inefficient, but it's actually stopping you from learning more? Yeah, that's the myth we're about to bust wide open.
So let's break it down. Look at this. On one side, you've got the old way, traditional reading. It's a slog, right? You start at page 1 and you just plow through the end, no matter what. But on the other side, you've got this new, efficient way. It's strategic. You're like a hunter, going after the most valuable ideas. And let me tell you, it saves a ridiculous amount of time.
And this whole strategic thing, it's all built on a really powerful concept. A mental model you can pretty much apply to anything in your life, not just the books on your shelf. It's called the 80/20 rule.
80-20. This simple little ratio is, wow, it's so powerful. You might have heard of it as the Pareto Principle. The basic idea is that most of your results, like the vast majority, come from just a small fraction of your efforts.
And here's how that applies to books, which is just brilliant. In most nonfiction books, about 80% of the real value, the big ideas, the core arguments, it's all packed into just 20% of the pages. The other 80%? That's mostly fluff. I mean, important fluff like examples, stories, and supporting details, but it's not the core idea. The goal is to find that juicy 20% and not get bogged down on the rest.
So here's the bottom line. If you can get really good at spotting and pulling out that crucial 20%, you can basically download the entire essence of a book in a tiny fraction of the time. All of the value, none of the filler.
Okay, that all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? Well, let's get practical. Here is your playbook, a simple 3-step guide you can literally start using on your next book. All right, here we go. Step 1, you're going to treat the table of contents like a treasure map. Seriously, don't just glance at it, scan it to find those 1, 2, maybe 3 chapters that look like they hold the real gold. Step 2, read the introduction and the conclusion, and only the introduction and conclusion. This is where the author basically tells you what they're going to tell you and then what they told you. It's the ultimate cheat sheet. And finally, step 3, armed with that knowledge, you dive only into those key chapters you picked out. Skim them. Look at the headings, the summaries, maybe the first sentence of each paragraph. You're not reading, you're extracting. And that right there, that is the huge mindset shift. Your goal is no longer to finish the book. Your new goal is to understand the core message. It's about grabbing ideas, not just turning pages. This is how you finally conquer that to-read pile and actually become way more knowledgeable. So, I'm going to leave you with this one final question to chew on. What if being well-read has nothing to do with how many pages you've turned, but everything to do with how many powerful ideas you've captured? Once you really let that sink in, well, reading a book a week, it actually starts to sound pretty easy, doesn't it?